But Laila's going to reopen them.
Do you know in a city of 9 million how many 24-hour counters we have? Two. In a city of 9 million.
Charing Cross and Emission, that's it now.
And I speak to police officers. You see, the way police officers work is you've got your safer neighbourhood team, which is allocated to every ward. They don't have a touchdown in that ward. They should be able to go and sit down and just take a break. But right now, because there's only limited amount, they travel all the way to the police station, which takes them away from the local area, plus all the paperwork. And he's doing a disservice. And police officers, you know, I've worked with many very closely. They are good people who really want to keep us safe. And they are not being given the resources, the tools, or the backing by the leadership team to do that. And listen, I speak to some, they are bogged down in paperwork. I spoke to someone who is training firemen, and he says every few weeks they have to take a course on how to avoid, ladies and gents, toxic masculinity. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't see anything wrong with a masculine police officer or a masculine fireman. Quite good, actually.
Well, I have to say, some of this talk about masculinity nonsense, I would call it, woke nonsense, is actually an oxymoron compared to what's going on around London right now.
Well, you know, exactly. So I think that there needs to be a redress where motorists are not punished and they're not seen as a cash cow, and they're not. I don't know why. When did cars become the enemy, Alex?
I don't know, but what I do know is that under Sadiq Khan, TfL have a target. They want 80% of journeys across London to be undertaken by either public transport or what they call active transport.
Strike.
Well, but what they do, they want to hit you. If you own a car, if you rely on your car for work, for family, for going shopping, for leisure, for charity, small businesses, you are the enemy. TfL hates you, and they hate your way of life and everything about it. It's ridiculous. We think that how you get around
is a choice. It's your choice.
All those options.
Not City Hall's choice.
You make that choice, not him. But it's ridiculous. And yeah, he sees you as a cash cow. He sees us as nothing more than a cash cow. In this year's budget, which has just sadly been approved, he's forecasting £644 million of income from a combination of ULEZ, congestion charge, and the Blackwall Tunnel and Silvertown Tunnel tax. Now that was another consultation that he ignored the results of, went ahead anyway. I presented what was the biggest petition to the London Assembly at that time, saying no, we don't want this, and he said, oh, it's a consultation, not a referendum. So of course he decides what he wants to do, and he just gets on with it. But what do we get in return for that? We have potholes, we have crumbling infrastructure, 3 bridges now, Hammersmith, Broadmead, and now Albert Bridge, all closed to vehicular access because the councils have let them down, and TfL won't put their hand in the pocket to help out either. It's an absolute disgrace. Again, budget amendment just a couple of weeks ago, I tried to put some money aside from TfL towards fixing Broadmead Bridge, which is in my borough where I live in Redbridge, and of course Labour voted it down. But what are they spending your money on instead? There's about £500 million over the next 3 years being spent on what he's calling safe and healthy streets. Now that sounds all nice and fluffy and friendly, and what it is it's his slush fund for carrying on the war against the motorists. It's LTNs, it's 20 miles an hour.
Oh, we're going to abolish LTNs. Yay, no
more
LTNs.
Get them out.
How do we what happens now with Croydon?
Croydon, you saw that, right?
Yeah.
So Croydon got found guilty of 6 illegal LTNs, fleecing Croydon residents of millions of pounds. I just want to point that out. Now that is a Conservative mayor and a Labour-run council. The unit party play together. They go together. You know what happens? You see, it's been a cosy relationship between Conservatives and Labour. One complains, the other one wins. One complains, but nothing fundamentally changes for us.
Presidents on other LTNs now. Can we use it against?
Well, perhaps, and I don't know why only 6 were deemed illegal and not the others.
I think only 6 were done because that's all they went for.
Right.
6 LTNs. But I mean, there's loads. They're all over. So why can't we use the presidents of those 6 LTNs to start on the rest of them?
So let me just tell you something. Instead of doing that, I'm going to give you an easier solution. Vote reform, right? Because LTNs do come down at a council level, and it's councils that are imposing LTNs, and in every reform council that you run council, we will abolish LTNs. So on May 7th, well, with your help, madam, we're going to win in Croydon. We are. We've got, we're going to win.
Council tax up 3 years ago, 15%.
Well, and actually, so what we found through freedom of information is that, for instance, Hammersmith and Fulham have spent over £500 million in consultants over the past 10 years, and they can't find, 10 million for the bridge? And that's a across the board. You know, some of them, I think it's actually Croydon, I'm not sure, don't quote me, has 40% of its expenses are blanked out, not declared what it is.
Yes.
Right? Yet, like you say, it's a grift. Council has become a grift, and that's why reform must win. Because I think the fundamental belief of reform is a country that works for the people that live here and pay taxes, and a London that works for Londoners. I don't feel it works for us. Do you know that 15 London boroughs are sanctuary boroughs for refugees? Right? We want it to be a sanctuary borough for us, for Londoners, for veterans. Yeah.
So we've got this huge opportunity.
And a sanctuary for cars, I think. I don't think cars should be punished anymore, especially when you've got tube strikes. I mean, I've got quite a few kids. For me to take them on the tube is unaffordable. And it's become a two-tier London. It's become a London where those that can afford to drive into central London pay the exorbitant parking prices and do so. And if you really have to drive, then you're just going to pay it, right? It doesn't stop congestion, it just makes you pay for it. It's a tax, another tax on motorists.
Some money. Do you know, I met someone who was a young man. He was like, he's in his late 20s, early 30s. He thought that the way to do it is just to print more money and that would work. He seriously thought that was the way to go.
He went to university, this guy.
Yeah, I mean,
what the Greens are doing is that they're saying it's the billionaires v the average person, right? But that's a wrong premise, because if all the billionaires and millionaires leave the tax market and move away, the people paying taxes, the pool of taxpayers just gets smaller and smaller, and it trickles down to the average worker who pays more taxes. And listen, we've had the biggest exodus of millionaires ever, and do you feel taxes have been reduced because of that? No, taxes have gone up.
It's like, okay, we've taken the money from the billionaires.
That's right. If you have massive exodus,
if you have a massive exodus, the people,
that money trickles down to everyone.
That cost trickles down to the average, and that's what you're seeing. We have the higher taxes keep going up. I don't know if you saw, but Labour had the audacity saying they increased employers' taxes, basically pricing young people out of work. And then on Monday they're going to announce a subsidy for employers to hire young people to pay for the consequences of their stupid.
It's just crazy.
Since that first disastrous budget with Rachel Reeves, Rachel Fees, Rachel from accounts, whatever you want to call her, unemployment has gone up every single month since then. We've now got the highest rate of unemployment since lockdown.
Especially amongst young people.
And it's young people who are in the front. Now, we had a meeting at the Assembly recently where one of the guests we were interviewing was Chief Executive of UK Hospitality. So that's the body that represents all the pubs and restaurants, hotels. And I asked him, one of his colleagues also involved in hospitality, Sasha Lord, had said that Rachel Reeves has done more damage to the sector than lockdown, than the pandemic. And I asked him if he agreed with that. He said absolutely yes. As a job killer, Rachel Reeves is up there, and that's not a good prize to be having.
GDP is tanked.
It's flat though. We are getting no growth, whatsoever. And when you do that, there's no wonder.
And I'll tell you one more thing that will make you vote for us is I got a whistleblower from one of the big councils in central London who told me that the CEO has sent an email saying that he wants to award pay increases to the senior officers on the basis of ethnicity. He wants to close the ethnicity pay gap before April, and he said that anyone who's elected who dares to stand in his way, he will tell them to F off. That is your taxpayer money, and they said there was a group of senior people in the council who said, please be our voice, because number one, and he said, do not recommend white men for a pay increase, right? So you got to fundamentally ask, and I spoke to someone today who stopped me in the street. You know, obviously all racism is bad, right? But right now, we have a form of racism against white people, and it's not your horrible person on the street. It is actually government policy. That's what's mental. You know, there is actually government policy that will disadvantage white people on the basis of the colour of their skin. And that's normal, and it's acceptable.
They allow it under
That's
the
why it's
guise
got to
of
stop.
positive discrimination, is what they class it. But with regards to
They
what
call it something sweet, like, you know, the ethnicity pay gap or whatever. But let's call it how it is. You know, it is discrimination against white people, especially white men, by the way.
With regards to the TfL payments for advertising, they're using that as their way to brainwash people, and they're actually using false information. So things like the justification for air quality, that isn't real world data. They are comparing before and after. They are data modelled scenarios and situations that they've dreamt up by comparing before and after on a model.
Yeah, but
and it's estimated.
They justify everything on a model, right? And models, I don't, are models accurate?
When
it's like net zero. Net zero is going to save you so much in 20 years based on our modelling. But pay up billions of pounds in advance in the hope that you will eventually, your great-great-grandson will save some money.
I will say something about net zero. It's actually environmentally destructive. Because when you think about the batteries from solar farms, they pollute the local water table and people become ill.
So and where are they made, by the way? They're made in China.
China.
The shipping
with way worse emissions than us.
And it also seems that
the pissed off motorist group. If we're back out there fighting this fight for you guys, are you going to come and support us?
Yeah, of course. Let us know. We're here.
I know you're here now.
We're here.
What about the next one?
Well, just let us know, right, Alex?
Yeah? You're going to come and join us?
Do you know how much effort we put into Stop ULEZ campaign? We were out there for 2 years. We begged the Greens to help us. We begged the Conservatives to help us. They had no majority. They could have done it, couldn't they?
It's the council that when it was run by the Tories declared a climate emergency.
But we asked the assembly members everything, they were there.
We're on the side of
we're
people.
all on your side.
The point is, if we've organised the venue that we're going to go to, and we've got some important names that are going to join us, that definitely makes a big influence for people coming out
100%.
to support us.
I would do it perhaps with a convoy somewhere, and then maybe we have an indoors. I don't know. Just in case. Yeah.
I mean, quite often. I mean, like from here now, the guys that have made the effort today with the cars, we'll end up down the pub somewhere. We'll come out of here and we'll go to a pub and we'll have a chat about the day.
Because the thing is, the war on motorists is not a war on motorists, it's a war on ordinary people. It's a war on ordinary people. It's an ordinary person. It's the mum, it's the tradesman, it's my mum, it's the parent taking a kid to school.
It's the whole economy, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just that, it's the people that are doing the driving, the jobs. We're all suffering. So it all trickles down to the economy. So the economy is suffering because of the war on the motorists. It's just not rich people driving big cars, which is what they're making it out to be. It's everybody.
What people don't understand.
It's an ideology.
It's an ideology. Exactly. London is run by ideology.
Lefties don't understand the combustion engine. I swear to God.
I don't think I do either.
I know that it works.
I just know that I like car. I want to drive my car. I just don't want the state telling me what to do. I've just had enough of it.
Is there any way, I don't know if you can find it now, you know the judicial review that was found at the High Court?
Yes. No.